Review of the Yacht Hopper from PopBoardCo. First off, let's start with the bag. So they've done a great bag for many years. The bag is a ripstop material, comes with 3 wheels on the back. The wheels are a little bit bigger from last year too, which is nice. So if you're going through sand, gravel, or anything that kind of needs a little bit more rugged wheels. Also does come with the waist strap. So if you guys are hiking, you can throw it around with the backpack straps, hike into a lake. Now, the only thing that I have noticed, being completely honest, is that this bag does feel a little thinner than their previous years. I have spoken with Pop, seems like for 2026, they're going to be coming out with a little bit of a thicker bag. That's going to be the only negative feedback I have about this. Other than that, it does come with everything in the kit. So you guys get your pump, paddle, board, bag, fin, leash, everything that you need, including a valve tool. Let's dive into the board and the specific specs of the board. The Yacht Hopper is 11 feet by 32 inches wide. And my personal opinion, that's kind of perfect for all around use. So if you're just going out paddling, kind of calmer lakes, calmer ocean bays, maybe slow moving rivers. This is a great board for riders anywhere from about 80 pounds. Smaller children can of course use this board, all the way up to about 225 pounds. What I find in my experience selling boards for several years is you can put a big person on a small big board, you can put a small person on a big board, but you can't put a big person on a small board. If you have somebody who's sitting around that 225 and they're very new to the sport, I'd recommend going up a size. The Capitan is another model that we will do a review on, and it's 36 inches wide, has much more volume in the board. Now, some of the features that I really enjoy on this board is going to be the construction. So they utilize woven drop stitch. This allows for a stiffer board. Essentially, there's a higher amount of drop stitching done on the inside of the board. Drop stitching is where the fibers run from the top to the bottom. That's what creates the rigidity in the board. And when you have a low thread count, for example, from some lower end manufacturers, you're going to notice the board bow doesn't hold air quite like it should in regards to rigidity. And that's where you see kind of those lower end boards that don't perform quite as well. Now, next thing is going to be the shape of the board. This board has a squash tail, so that flat tail right on the end, and then a rounded nose with a little bit of a rocker in it. Of course, inflatables, it's much more difficult to shape the base of the board, like boards or rigid boards. So it's gonna be a flat bottom, front rocker, squash tail. It's a great design in my opinion. Squash tail is kind of an idea from what I see from the surf culture. It utilizes heavy in paddleboarding because unless you're paddle surfing or surfing, you don't need those edges to really carve. It does make it look a little bit more aesthetic. Now, jumping into the bottom of the board here, nice thing is that they have handles throughout the board. So a lot of boards will just have the center handle and the back handle. On the Yacht Hopper, they have the back handle, center handle, and the front handle, along with 2 other handles you can use at the bungees here. And then you're easy to grab anytime you want to grab the board. Another thing that I really like is their trapper bungee system. So you have bungees on the back of the board. It's a smaller bungee. And then you have bungees on the front of the board. This, of course, is to store gear, lunch bag, dry bag, sandals, life jacket, PFDs, all that. What I really love that they did this year is they made it so they're removable. So you can actually remove your bungee systems if you want. Say you have a furry co-captain, a puppy that wants to come on board with you. You can take off your bungees on the front and put a pad there for them, or just let them hang out and lay down. Other people like to maybe do some yoga on their board, or just completely lounge and have a nap on their board. If they don't require the bungees, they can take those off, which is really cool. The next thing is they've added these Rover Marine D-ring mounts. Now, there's 1 D-ring on the back to attach your leash or to tie the board off to a dock or whatever it may be. Then they've also added 4 D-rings here. Now, there's really 2 uses that I find for these, and if you guys have more uses that you use your center D-ring mounts, I'd love for you to comment, let us know. What I find with these D-rings is it's most commonly used for a kayak seat conversion kit. So you can get a kayak seat and it attaches to the back and front, makes it adjustable so you can lean forward or back, and you can use it as a kayak seat. Personally, what I've done in the past as well is I've also attached a cooler here, smaller cooler that you can kind of sit on, throw some beverages in there, or if you're fishing, you can throw your fish in there, and I've just bungeed it over top so it holds steady. Now, moving up in the board here, we have 2 mounts here, 1/4 inch screw-in mounts. These mounts are really nice. They've added them this year as well. What they allow for is what I use is a screw-in cup holder mount, of course, for my favorite beverage on the water, but you can also use it to attach a fishing rod mount, and they do work with GoPro mounts as well. So you got 2 mounts at the front to allow you to screw in whatever it may be that you want to screw in. Personally, like I said, my favorite's the cup holder. Throw my smoothie in there for a morning paddle. Board is a little bit heavier. It's coming in at 27 pounds, and the reason why it's a touch heavier is there's more layers of PVC. So they've done a dual wall, dual layer construction with woven drop stitch. So there's more stitches on the inside to make the board more rigid. They've done a more sturdy board from the feel of it and more sturdy on the water, in my opinion. So if you're bumping into things, hitting the rock, hitting the shore, bouncing into a dock or a boat, you don't have any issues with this board. It's very difficult to get through the sidewall here. One other feature that they added this year as well, which I love, is a layer of seam tape. So it's another additional layer of PVC that comes up the seam. And what that allows for is more reinforcement when it comes to seam leaks. Now, PopBoardCo has not had really any issues in that regard. We love to see when brands utilize additional layers of seam tape just to create that longer lasting board, right? We don't want this to last you 3-year warranty time and have it break the next year. We want this board to last you guys for 5, 10 plus years if you're using it a lot. Now to flip the board over and show you guys the bottom here. It's very, very basic bottom in regards to color scheme. It just looks nice. I think it's a really nice looking board. Favorite colors are gonna be kind of blue, turquoise-ish with the added teak on the deck pad is really nice. They have the single fin block, which is necessary for paddling, keeping your tracking properly. Some boards you will see with a center fin and 2 side fins, which is a thruster fin setup. You do not require that unless you're doing surfing or rivers. Some people will argue that it creates more stability, will argue that it does not. And again, if you have reasoning for that, please hit us up in the comments and let us know why you think that. I've been in the industry for coming up 12 years now, and in my experience, a good long center fin, anywhere from 8 to 12-inch center fin, is going to provide more than enough tracking. 2 side fins does not create more stability, it just creates more traction in the water. So you're a little bit more drag, but with one long center fin, you get just as much traction. Now, one last thing that I really do love that they've done is the stamped traction pad. So the traction on here is a really nice kind of PopBoardCo stamped traction. They've actually edited it properly on the board too, so it doesn't have like a big edge that can lift and peel. I notice after rolling up a board 10, 20, 30 times, some boards do start to peel a little bit on their traction. Super simple fix, of course, just to glue back down, but not having to do that is really nice. This, of course, my personal board that I like to ride on the lake here behind us. So that's gonna be my full review. I would give this board an 8.5 out of 10 on Jager's rating scale. It is great in all aspects. There's a few other things that we could throw on the board, potentially more mounts, but outside of that, they've seemed to really hit the nail on the head. Like I really love this board. I have a hard time giving any board 10 out of 10, but I think this is one of the higher rated boards I've seen. The price point comes in at a very fair price. So they range anywhere from 99 to 849 Canadian. Can get a cheaper board, but you definitely pay for what you get. This, we will do a few more reviews of quite a few of the other Pop models. Again, this board comes in 2 different colors. This is the teak mint blue. We do have the neon pink turquoise as well, and we will drop both those links below in the comments. Now, if you guys have any questions or want to learn more about what we do here at Canadian Board Co, or about the boards or products that we sell, please shoot us a message, a DM, give us a call, whatever it may be. We'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to grow our community.